because I wanted to buy it. Professor Madan, and it's an honor and a privilege for two reasons for me to be in Hyderabad to launch this book. One is ISB as an institution is something was so distant for me in a sense. And then once I started to know people, I understood how humanized this institution was. So that's my first way of putting it. And the second was how deeply committed. We always imagine business schools are only for the corporate world. And somehow it forms a stereotype in your mind. And then you don't even want to understand anything else that negates it. Once I started interacting with Madan and other professors, Deepa and others, their commitment and conviction that they got to partner with government to make this country a better place. And the best part was, I could just pick up the phone and say, I have no money to give you. I only got a problem to state and you help me with the solution. And unfailingly, the last 3 years, it's been a great journey. We've had a lot of work we have done together, and I'm proud that a lot of learning in terms of real knowledge is getting transferred to several millions of offices across the government. So thank you again for partnering. The second reason for me, Hyderabad is a very dear place. Is the research happened. I would possibly say Hyderabad, but these people today in the world of internet, young people sit all over the country. So Anshuman, Akshay. Anshuman has been my lead researcher. And I really want to thank you for it. Within the Brihat team, everybody in Brihat has had great contribution. Raghav is a friend. I don't even see him as a researcher. So, and Kavita ji with her own demands of the purest nature she is. And it has to be purest. No compromises on that. And Simran, who did the wonderful sketches. And so the way, everything was an idea which, the author gets the credit because that's what the names are there for. But there's so many people behind it to actually make a book out of it. Writing it was difficult, like Madan said, and a full-time job with the Prime Minister who seems to not sleep at all. It's not easy because there's no weekend, there's nothing like that, and it's fun. Working in Delhi has been a great learning experience for me because I recognize friends like Amit are here, and the extraordinary leadership in the civil services, in the government ecosystem, which is hardly recognized, but always complained about, is something which I went in with that stereotype, and the last 3 years has helped me change how the government has actually changed me. How much of I can change the government is left for the next few years to judge. So it's made me, in a positive way I meant, it's made me recognize the extraordinary circumstances, the kind of resource constraints under which leadership gets expressed in the public space within the country. More importantly for me, this book is a personal journey. I used to, obviously the research was a lot, but I used to get up at 3 in the morning and write. Because I was very conscious about the ethical demands I make on myself. For 9 o'clock would be office time and that's it. And rest of the time was whatever I did. And therefore I had to call you at 7 in the evening or 6 in the morning. And I have troubled Anshuman all odd times because I would teach at Cornell and where I did most of the writing. And so it didn't even bother me that I'm in US time and he's in India time. I would just say I want this sorted out now because I'm writing now and I need it. And he'd always respond. He's never said no to me. And so I really want to thank you, Anshuman. Manuscript is easy to put out, but then making it a book and making it a published book is the next big challenge. All my earlier books, this is my 9th book, all my earlier books were either published by Cornell University Press or by Graham here, so it was a different thing. A place which knows you, and so for them it's just, they just want a book, and so I give it, and they have their own standards, but it's easier. But going to a professional publisher who's also interested in markets and who also want to say whether there's a book has got a space for the book in the market, and then should they be writing about it. And in a polarized world, when you take calls based on optics rather than on content, the challenges were there. But to be fair, the only publisher I spoke to first, the first publisher we spoke to was Penguin, and they were very professional. And they said, we'll read the book. We will definitely come back to you on this, and within 3-4 days they reached out and said we have to publish this book. And the reason they explained this was so beautiful. The vice president publishing called me and said, we were concerned it could be in hagiography and we were not keen on publishing it if it's a hagiography. So we wanted to read it. That's the only reason we want to read it. Now that we have read it, we are concerned that it will go to somebody else, so we want to publish it. So we are going to publish it. And so they've been an extremely great supporter, because you need, today's world, you need a legal team to check whether I'll get sued and somebody will get defamed. And so they have their own teams, the copy editing team, the legal teams, all the kinds of teams they have, the creative teams. So I must thank them for being part of this journey. But finally, without a protagonist to write about, I needed a flesh and blood example, something which will make us feel we can relate to him. And writing about a person with a 78% approval rating, writing about a person you report to is dangerous. Because you can get carried away by the charisma that you're exposed to and become subjective. And I value my intellectual integrity, and so I had to walk the thin edge of saying, am I really, and extremely mindful. I've rewritten the book 32 times. I kept track actually. Because I want to make sure that anything I put out there, I'll stand by it. So I can speak with conviction that whatever I've written there is based on what I discovered, either in observational analysis of mine, experiential anecdote that I went through, or through direct conversations with the Honorable PM himself, and through people who report to him. And it's a journey of 50 years. Studying a person for 50 years, you can't do it in one book. So my colleagues at Cornell had a nice way of putting it. They said each chapter is several PhD. So unless students take it and actually work on it and build the body of knowledge, it was a difficult attempt to put it into one book. And I had promised myself that I won't exceed 250 pages. It's on 251 pages, the actual book. And the rest of it is my research notes. Obviously, I didn't put all my research notes because that will be bigger than the book. I just tried to keep it as what is relevant to this. There's a glossary of terms which two wonderful people, Kavita and Professor Anuradha Chaudhary from IIT Kharagpur, worked on. If I thought Kavita was a purist, Anuradha Chaudhary was purist quiet.